Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Vishal and Company. This week is going to be a little different. We're going to have a big roundtable discussion on Rainmaker capitalism and the great man theory. For anyone watching who doesn't know, the great man theory is a 19th century idea according to which history can be largely explained by the impact of great men or heroes. So basically the idea that influential and unique individuals who, because of their natural attributes, have a decisive historical effect. And that is all I will say now. All right, Vishal, all yours.
Okay, well, you defined great man theory. I'm just here for reviewers. You can read the definition itself here, but you just defined it quite well there. Where should we begin, guys? Who should we break?
Well, I think one of the main points of the great man theory is that we're in the midst of a bunch of great people. Mm-hmm. What I would like to term as Rainmaker capitalism, meaning that we're taking their personality, their popularity and all that kind of stuff and throwing that ahead of anything that we would actually fundamentally consider good, right? So I'm voting. I'm throwing money at Tesla. I'm throwing money at Kathy Wood because they're great people, not because they have a good product, not because they actually have something to offer, but because I've been told they're great people.
So that's similar to recently, this is the man. Elon Musk has had this cult following pretty much with a lot of the techies and Silicon Valley people where he can't do any wrong, right? That's sort of what you're referring to. Yes. So are we going to argue they're products of their environments, or are they actual geniuses?
Exactly. And I think that has a lot to go in determining the real value of what they have to offer. Much of what we are given them in terms of market cap and stuff is very largely placed on persona.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's start with Kathy Wood. I think that's a bit of an easier one because she is known again for ARK Investment, as TK has here, named the best stock picker of 2020 by Bloomberg News.
Who wasn't in 2020?
She is the CEO of ARK. I mean, look at this meteoric rise here in ARK. And again, if you're bullish Tesla and if you're bullish Bitcoin, both are included in the ARK ETF here. So obviously, both
She's
Tesla
heavily leveraged on these things succeeding.
Yeah, both of them have done well, and we saw the stock. I mean, almost a year ago, pretty much. Yeah, March 18th of 2020, ARK was around $33, and we saw highs of $159 US dollars. And
off the back of insane retail speculation.
Well, we got to show the chart of the NASDAQ, right? So we've seen this huge tech rally recently. Wow, this is the fall, and this is the everything crash. So this is the coronavirus lockdown crash. And as you can see, after we bottomed there, we've made quite the rally. Stocks such as Zoom as well, a lot of online retailers, Shopify, Etsy. The list goes on and on. But of course, Tesla, right? The retail crowd, that was the first big, I think, retail move that that surprised and took a lot of people by surprise. And the thing, about Kathy Wood, and, I'll open this for discussion. Yep. She claims that they are investing in disruptive technology, but is she just buying the dip? Is that what we can say? Has she just been buying the dip here in the NASDAQ? We've talked about her in the past. My worry is if the NASDAQ does sell off, how does she hedge her portfolio?
She can't. She's incredibly exposed.
She's incredibly exposed to it. Mm-hmm. She came up at one of her glorious interviews where instead of actually talking about that liquidity issue, she said it's not a problem and brushed it off and continued to propose her big ideas, her big disruptive. I think she does it every year.
Yeah.
So she did her 2021 big ideas, and her focuses were, machine learning, automated driving. What else was there? Just anything that's hot
Yep.
right now. That's how I would put it. Anything that's hot right now.
Yep.
And any idiot with $1 billion could invest in anything that's hot right now and be the greatest stock picker of 2020.
Yes.
I know that's a very crass thing to say, but I think it's true.
It is.
I think it's true. I'm not saying she's not a genius, but she's riding the coattails of a tech boom.
Yes.
Very similar to 2000.
Can we say bubble instead of boom?
True. But she's riding the coattails of a bull market that has the lowest interest rates in history, the end of a debt cycle, a currency war that the federal bank can't control, so they have to continue to do quantitative easing, $85 billion a month or something like that, or $70 billion.
Which they don't call quantitative easing because they're dumping it straight into the markets.
It's a recipe for capital appreciation. The big question now is, it's not sustainable in the long term.
Okay.
And as a fund manager, you're storing people's wealth over the long term. What's going to happen? What's her strategy once interest rates starts to go up? What's her plan there? Is she going to hedge the US dollar? Is she going to what is she? And she has not mentioned anything about it. She's only said, yeah, I get what people are saying. There's a liquidity problem if things go down to a certain point, if the fund goes below par. But that's not happening because, hey, Tesla's going to go to 3,000 by 2025.
Which I think is probably the most desperate and blatantly false predictions ever made. I cannot believe that the SEC has stood by and let her say stuff like this.
Just watched it. You just watch it happen.
Yeah.
I know freedom of opinion, but there's a certain amount that's market manipulation, especially when you're a CEO of $1 billion fund
that's personally invested in whatever you're talking about.
Talking about that $3,000 valuation. There's a man who's happy about that. The token. What's he?
Techno King.
Techno King. Techno King of Tesla. And I know Vishal was saying yesterday when we were preparing for today, we need to crown a Techno King for EQUITY.GURU. And I'm casting in my vote for Joseph for his dedication.
There we go.
And
I'm all for that. Joseph, your new Techno King. Who gets to be the master of coin?
I was thinking I'd be the master of coin, but I promise to be a good monarch.
Galen, I think the master of coin is your title.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, it kind of goes to where Elon Musk now, he's kind of, and this is where the master of coin will probably have more to say, is he's separated people from what Tesla is actually doing.
Yeah.
To, hey, let's keep this hype train going. Not exactly like that, but that's basically what he's doing. Hence the Rainmaker aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's like, I know it's an automotive company, and people are saying, okay, don't look at it like that. It's a tech company. And I'm like, okay, it's a tech company, but where do majority of its business come from? Selling cars? It's an auto manufacturer. Does it own the manufacturing plant? It owns the manufacturing plant. It has to reinvest billions of dollars into that manufacturing plant just to keep competitive. Yep. And then a couple of weeks ago, Volkswagen comes out with a battery day kind of thing, just like battery day.
The ID4, which is an awesome model, does just fine.
I think they said they want to spend close to 29 billion US or euros, one of the two.
Yep.
And I was just like, okay.
That's an investment.
That's an investment. There's competition. There's the moat, Tesla's moat going away. We already know the problems happening in China with the competitors there,
where they currently sell 1/3 of their inventory. The Chinese don't care about Tesla, so I think as soon as the competition builds and he pisses off Xi Jinping, which probably shouldn't take much, unless he becomes an ally of China, he'll lose his business.
I think he will. And these guys want you under their finger. They don't want you to have all this freedom.
No.
It's a capital-controlled country. They don't want you just freely coming in, making investments all over the place, and hiring. Because you're putting their people at risk. So now that begs the question we had at the beginning: is Elon Musk a genius, and he's just his too big brain for us, or are his resources limiting his resources eventually going to catch up with him? Or is he is he a genius, or his resources will eventually catch up with him? One of the two. Because people are saying, oh, look at Amazon. When they went public, didn't make money until 2012.
Yep.
And I'm like,
he argued that they didn't even make money in then.
Yeah, I don't think they've paid taxes ever.
Yeah.
And he's like, people are like, look at that, that happened, and why can't it be Elon? And I think that's a good question. Well, yesterday we got into a whole discussion about right time, right place, with our great people, being inclusive as well.
Yep.
But there are women on the list as well that are there. And this is just one of the big things that you kind of see now. You're like, oh, a lot of these people riding the coattails of this trend. Is it just the right time or right place? Or is their skill actually being paid for by society? And that's kind of where I'm like, Elon is on the side of right time, right place. Mm-hmm. And his skill is okay. It's decent enough to get him where he is.
Do you remember a couple of months ago when Tesla stock was around $300? He tweeted out, "Tesla stock is too high, in my opinion."
Yeah.
I don't know if things have changed from the company since then, if they've increased production in those couple of months or whatnot. But I mean, we're not really hearing that when the stock is at 880 or 600. But we can probably assume he thinks the stock price is too high.
Yeah,
well, yeah, but the only time he ever mentions it was when he wants to buy the dip.
When he wanted to, oh, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Friends of his want to buy the dip. It's market manipulation. Unless it's an official statement vetted by the SEC and all that stuff, it's him yapping on Twitter deliberately to mess around with his market value.
True. People are doing a calculation of how much his tweets have, how much his tweets cost. It's like billions of dollars.
Yes.
The Bitcoin rally, the Dogecoin rally, the Elon Tesla rally. It's like I can attribute some of Kathy's success to the Elon rally as well.
Yes.
Right.
Just associated with them. There are companies last year after the battery day with the lithium stuff where their stock prices went up like 60% because Elon mentioned lithium.
Yep.
And people just bought up anything that had lithium in it. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is he is the true capitalist right now.
Well, he is. And I can't slight him for being a businessman because that's basically how he's operating right now. He's running on the ragged edge of ethics. That's basically what we're talking about, right? He is being a businessman. Whether he's a genius or not, I don't think that's the case. I think this is more or less something similar in nature to Thomas Alva Edison, who was more a patent troll and an investor than anything else.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Elon did not design those ships at SpaceX, I'm sorry to say. That technology has been in play for fucking 20 years. And we were not committed by NASA because the space agency had been steadily defunded. So they had to make priorities of what they could actually do. He didn't make relandable rockets. Sorry. Didn't do it. When he joined PayPal, his segment, when he joined PayPal, was the only segment that cut free.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, he was fired a year after being CEO of PayPal.
Yeah.
Then he took his money. With $1 billion, you can be right about anything for a while. So your $1 billion runs out.
True.
Now, all he did was paint himself as somebody he wasn't. He didn't make Tesla. Two guys,
just took the idea
not Elon Musk, made Tesla. He invested. Elon Musk is an investor. Elon Musk is Thomas Alva Edison and should be considered such. So when he starts making these grand proclamations that they're going to have, Mars landing well before 2030 through SpaceX, I think that should be yarded. That's a prediction. That's a company executive telling people what's going to happen, and he's openly admitted to everything he's ever said in public that it can't be trusted. That can't stand.
That's true. That's true.
Joseph, what do you think about this?
Well, what I'm particularly curious about is the relationship to the great man theory. I mean, we have Elon Musk on one side. He has, the money and the agency to perform all of these things, and it seems that the time has come up to meet him. Now, does that necessarily meet the category and the criteria for the great man theory? I guess what we'll have to see is what happens in the years to come, especially with things like SpaceX. If he actually managed to land down on Mars, I'm sorry, Galen, but that pretty much lands him right there in the stratosphere.
No, I'm sure, absolutely, but he's not going to. That's the funny thing. And if he does, it's going to be at breakneck speed with little consideration for safety, like turning on the fucking self-driving option in his cars. He's already had 28 accidents. That's not a functional self-driving system, sorry. It can be blamed on the driver, but I'm sorry, self-driving means self-driving. It means the driver shouldn't even be present.
True.
I remember famous astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson said that he will fly on a SpaceX flight only once Elon Musk sends his mother to the moon or Mars. And then,
That's true. Put your money where your mouth is.
With classic quotes.
Vishal, I forgot the name of the guy from WorldCom in 2000.
WorldCom.
I can't remember his name. Damn it.
But he was on trial.
Looking at the right one.
Yeah, but he was on trial after like 10 years of success, and
right there.
But then people found out him and a bunch of executives were defrauding investors and other stakeholders. They were lying about how much money and growth was actually happening.
Yes. The same way Tesla
in the company. And this is the one thing that we probably will get a flag from the SEC for saying, but accounting is mostly a lie. It's somebody's guess. And Elon can, for lack of a better way to say this,
play with GAAP. You can play with GAAP to tell whatever story you want.
Yeah, to whatever. If he says, I want to get earnings for this quarter of 90 cents, it's very possible to make the numbers showcase that. I'm not saying he's doing it, but they have the freedom to do it. And the sad thing about it is there are rules and stuff in place that allow management to not be punished for that. But after this happened, the scandal happened, the CEO and the CFO, or in this situation, the token king and the
master of coin.
Yeah, the master of coin. They're held accountable for it, and I see two similarities between these situations. There's an eccentric CEO riding the back. I know that now it doesn't seem like much, but fiber optics was a big thing a couple years ago, and they had put down an infrastructure of fiber optics that made it easy for them to transport data to people than any other telecom company at the time. And in the numbers, you don't have to say you put in this certain amount of Ks. You just say we put a certain amount of dollars, and this is roughly how much we think from historical numbers. And they were doing that for years and years until people started realizing, hey, you guys have been making billions of dollars of investments in fiber optics, this new technology. but my Wi-Fi is still slow. I can't download funny videos on YouTube of cats, you know, in people's clothes. What's going on here? And
Cats
people,
in that
you know,
drum
people
dancing. How about
our priorities are very.
Oh,
How about-
man.
I know there's a big list here, but I think we can talk about SPACs. But one thing hitting the news right now is, of course, WeWork. They are back and they want to go public. And I think we can make an argument here now. Is this WeWork trying to raise capital in this type of market? We've seen a lot of IPOs because they know.
Should we be replacing WeWork with SoftBank? Because that's basically why it's happening. It's SoftBank trying to cover it. But
Yep. I was just going to say, because this is the big news right now. It's a blank check, so SPAC startup at $9 billion, including debt and markets, at 18-month turnaround from its failed attempt at a traditional IPO, and it was largely because commercial real estate's not doing too well right now. Most people are working from home. Most corporations and businesses have said, hey, we can actually save money with people working from home, so we don't really need commercial real estate. But apparently they're seeing commercial real estate make a rebound. But is that just because they're trying to hype up the SPAC?
exactly. It's very true. It's exactly it. It's picking up. We're in the midst of recovering from a pandemic. We have a ship lodged in the Suez Canal. It's causing a supply gap.
See,
Yeah,
there's a broken
V-shaped
model
recovery,
Co-founded by Adam Newman and heavily backed by SoftBank.
SoftBank. It's SoftBank.
Yeah, it's not all SoftBank.
You know, I think someone said it yesterday.
Rainmaker capitalism.
During the prayer, I think it was Galen. Masayoshi is probably one of the biggest. People say investors are risk averse. To attain a certain amount of risk, they demand higher return.
Mm-hmm.
He is a risk tolerant individual. Like some of the bets he makes,
Yes, he
you're just
is.
like, oh my god, how does this guy sleep at night? You know? And there's an interview where he's like, just before the .com bubble, because he was heavily invested in World Car and all of them, he was like, my net worth surpassed Bill Gates.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw it, before I could tell anybody, I was almost in bankruptcy. And I was like, dude, how are you just,
you can't claim that as a thing, because, man, it was a fucking spike, dude. There was no skill involved. Oh.
So some of this guy's investment decisions over the years, you got to wonder whether or not he's looking at astrology charts.
Speaking of which, I actually saw on TikTok, and I hope to God this was a joke, but I don't think it was. An influencer talking to their followers, showing them how to buy Bitcoin based on a daily zodiac chart.
No,
That's great.
On Bitcoin's zodiac chart, by the way, an inanimate object having a zodiac chart.
Believe it or not,
Yeah,
inanimate
balls of
object.
fire, dude. 2 years away, you're going to tell me how my money's doing.
Yeah,
That's
they're
real.
actually
That's
offering
real.
Wall Street that
that's
it's real.
for investing.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm scared.
I mean, kind of speaking of that, just because I knew this is what we were talking about today. There's a sociologist, Herbert Spencer, who wrote in the study of sociology, and he says about the great man theory, you must admit that the genesis of a great man depends on the long series of complex influences which has produced the race in which he appears and the social state into which that race has slowly grown. Before he can remake his society must make him. So
Correct.
I think that really speaks to what we're talking about with Elon Musk and Bitcoin having a zodiac chart. It's about who we are as a people who gets to have this influence over everything.
That's true. We vote with our dollars.
With their dollars.
And right now we're voting for them. That's why I feel like these guys. Oh no!
I think we're getting the economy we deserve through our investment actions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
we're allowing people to let us invest in best coin or Bitcoin through Zodiac, right? We're hopping on that train.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, is that a belief?
It speaks of
Is it a belief that everything's going to get better, or is that a desperation that shit sucks right now?
John, there's I want to show this selfless promotion for somebody else. This guy right here. He's actually on the news this week.
Is that what it's called? The bad debt
the big
crisis?
debt crisis. Yeah.
Oh, big debt crisis. Sorry. See it now.
Is that the Ray Dalio one?
The Ray Dalio one.
Yeah.
He's on the news this week saying
Bitcoin.
This stuff is about to crash. Yeah. Bitcoin is about to be regulated. The market is about to crash. Yeah. I guess it's not the most optimistic.
And he's right. The Bitcoin, as Vishal was saying last week. Sorry, I'm totally cutting off. But as Vishal was saying last week, oh gosh.
Regulation.
Really, it's just the latest series of talking heads that come up and make proclamations about Bitcoin. Now, in a week or two, nobody will remember his name or who he is or what he said.
Well, I suppose so, but I think he's right in the sense that the central banks, the only way this thing will ever be used, because right now it is an asset. Yeah. We were talking about the idea that Elon Musk, here's another F up on his part. Hey, everybody, come on down, buy one of my cars for Bitcoins. You can do that. Well, here, sucker, why don't you give me something that's going to be worth more down the line so I can get rich and you can have one of my crappy cars?
Yeah, I still need him to explain to me how that mechanism works. Is he like hedging a little bit of the Bitcoin so that when you buy the car for, assuming the car is 50,000, right? And you buy the car for 1 Bitcoin around 50,000.
50,000?
Bitcoin goes up, has a rally, 60,000. Who's making that money? Yeah. Is the zero. What that is the holder, extra income? Like, is that capital gains? What? How is that? How is that being measured?
The thing is, like, then that requires what the definition of Bitcoin is, right? Because a lot of businesses do this, right? They will sell products in a different currency, but if that currency appreciates, they do better business in that market, right?
Yeah.
Now,
so like, is Bitcoin a currency
Bitcoin a currency or an asset? Yeah, that's the big question.
That's the big question.
And Ray Dalio believes it's an asset.
Yeah,
and that's why he's like,
and I think
any asset, no matter how revolutionary, has a cycle.
It's always about to not be an asset. It's not something you can just, I don't know, you can't buy a car with it. You just can't.
I mean, what would the fees be, dude, if you're flipping a 50K Bitcoin transaction?
Oh, I have no idea. Now, I've got a question from Daryl, one of our viewers. He's asking, so we're front running in DXY now? Are we going to front run the dollar?
So that was my take, right? When I read the initial news about Elon Musk buying cryptos, this is something I've been warning for more than a year now. There is a currency crisis, right? And you want to be out of fiat, and this is why stocks are going up. Because everyone knows the end game, right? These central banks their policies aren't working. They're probably going to lose control sometime soon. We're seeing signs in the bond market. And if you want to protect, it's not necessarily about making money. It's about protecting your purchasing power. And I think to do that, you want to be out of fiat currency, right? So you look at any inflation or hyperinflationary events, Weimar Republic, Germany, Zimbabwe, a lot of people became paper millionaires and billionaires, but it didn't account to much. By the way, the stock markets were shooting high, right? They were going
exactly, totally. And just
the thing is, it didn't really mean anything when a bread cost $1 million Deutschmarks or whatever, right? But if you had your currency in gold or silver or any hard asset, you actually will be able to maintain your purchasing power, right? So if you want, that's the whole idea. And when I read that Tesla, the SEC released about Tesla saying, okay, we're looking to move dollars into other reserves such as Bitcoin, but people forget gold and GLD was also mentioned, right, in that press release. So I think, you want to be in gold, silver, and crypto because it's not a fiat currency, but when the currency crisis, I think the dollar and I think even the Japanese yen are going to do well together. And people should remember the dollar and gold and Bitcoin can actually move up together, right? A lot of people think there's a negative correlation when the dollar goes up and gold declines. Yes, most of the time that happens. But in periods of a currency crisis or a confidence crisis, when people stop trusting government, stop trusting central banks, stop trusting the fiat currency, you will see gold and you will see the dollar move together just like they did in 2007, 2008, right? And we are seeing that currently, which is why sort of warning bells are sort of, flashing, because the dollar is rising and I think it's going to move higher. And a lot of people are surprised because if you take a look at gold has not tanked recently as much as many people thought it would. It's actually just maintained a range here for this whole week. It hasn't actually declined. And this is something, you should keep in mind, because with a big move in the dollar, a rise in the dollar, you would expect gold to tumble just as much, but it's holding up well, which is, again, just me flashing warning signs that we are at that period where we could see both the dollar and gold move up together, which is pointing to a
There's
confidence
tons
crisis.
of other indicators as well that have come into play. Over the last 2 years, speculation in penny stocks has increased about 2,000%. The only other time it's done that is 1929.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because out of all the major equity indices, I actually wrote about this on a market moment, but it is the small caps, the Russell 2000, which is looking, it's right at in football or in soccer, we call it the squeaky bum zone. But it's really at that point where, it's literally squeaky bum time. This thing could collapse. And if it does break below 2,100, technically the bull market in small caps is over. So we are just hanging on. It looked pretty scary yesterday, but as you can see, they bid it back up. So we are remaining above 2,100. But if next week we see we are seeing some selling right now, but if next week we continue that sell-off, yes, the small cap rally or the bull trend or the uptrend would technically be over. So,
and the funny thing is that we also have the SEC. They see this happening, right? They're freaking out because they went and visited Michael Burry after he said, we are going to experience Weimar Republic-like inflation very soon. Right, and they were all over him. Yet on that same day, Elon Musk goes, "Yeah, Bitcoin." Or you know what I mean? He does his own tweets. I can't even bring any to mind now because there's 100 of them. He does his own tweets, and nobody even bothers to talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
And Michael Burry, who's actually called something,
and the SEC.
I feel like the biggest thing that's influencing this. It's kind of out of the ordinary, is social media or media, if not to put social media down. But there's a guy. But there's this guy. I don't know if you guys know him. I think he goes by the name Warren Buffett. He's like a little investor in America. Yeah,
I think I've heard
the billionaire.
He's only reached.
Sorry.
He's only reached popularity recently because of his one of his quotes, "Buy the dip," or "Buy when people are fearful," and "Buy when people are greedy and sell when people are fearful." That's a terrible way to quote him, but that's his quote. Yep. I think people have grossly misunderstood that quote.
Buy when fearful.
Yeah, and people buy when there's a dip of 0.0%. That is not a dip. That's my move,
But it's stocks, man. They're always going up.
And social media, Buffett is really quotable because of his folksy, the way he speaks about farms, and it's one of the things I don't get enraged by a lot, but when I see his tweets, his that's actually pretty funny. That is pretty hilarious. The Zimbabwe. Whenever I see his Instagram, there's an Instagram fan page, and they post his quotes there, they usually rotate around the same thing. So I was thinking to myself, and this is TK's theory, I'll throw it out there. Call me crazy. I have tinfoil on my under my durag and everything. I think I think people misunderstood that buy the dip aspect of it, and they just buy the dip no matter what. Going back to where we started, the Kathy Woods, the Elon Musk, they are benefiting off that old adage from, the Great Depression, when buying the dip really meant buying a company for less than its cash.
Right.
Like that is a dip. Like that's not just buying the company for a stock price dip of 2%.
But this now raises another interesting dilemma. Are we now all slaves to the central bankers, right? They control who lives and who works and, who has money, who doesn't. Everyone's been buying the dip because they expect the Fed to step in and keep markets propped. But one day they'll decide not to. And the people who get to short the markets when they know the Fed has decided to unwind.
Man. It's like JP Morgan playing the silver ETF, right? They play it both sides, and they play it hard, right?
Yep.
And so, of course, it's a fucking casino. I don't understand why anybody doesn't see this. There's a house, and we're meant to lose.
Yeah,
true.
So again, like with the casino analogy, I see it a bit different. Like I think there are some people who do approach trading as a casino, and generally those people don't do well. I'm more of a guy who, I've survived, right? Because I've not looked at trading as a casino. The thing about casinos is the house always wins, right? I think the best probability you have in a casino is 50-50 playing roulette. But that's the reason why they're profitable and they're operating, right? Is because they generally win. The probabilities is on their side. If you want to be a consistent and successful trader, what you got to do is come up with a strategy that will make you consistent, but more importantly, you have confluences that add up and increase.
But how can you do that when you have hedge funds who own 97% of every company on the SP, or own 97% of all the companies listed on the S&P 500? They're already buying and trading against each other. They're already playing both sides of the game. So as a retail investor, it is a casino.
Don't trade the S&P.
And you have to be a smart because there are people that go into casinos and make money. Right? You have to understand that there is somebody out there that's going to screw you.
The last word, because we are out of time.
Oh, it's not.
Look at us. Oh God.
DK, you had something to say? You want to end it off?
Yeah. I want to talk about the brokers really quickly because getting home on that casino or investment vehicle thing, I think a lot of people who are using the new brokers tend to use the market as a casino because it's incentivized that way by the brokers. It's Econ 101. I don't like quoting academics a lot, but there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing. You pay somewhere. Exactly. And going to, I think it's Derek, the commenter, or Brad, one of the two names, he's talking about front running. A lot of what's happening... Daryl. A lot of what's happening in the online brokers, Wealth Simple, to quote a few, Wealth Simple, Robinhood, Q-Trade, Questrade is a little bit more infrastructure safe, but a lot of them, Webull, etc., they allow hedge funds, on Galen's point, to front-run retail investors who are gambling in themselves. But the problem is, right now, either you're gambling or you're actually investing. You're going to be damaged both ways because speculation right now is higher than the actual investors. So
we saw, I remember with our BlackBerry, right? That was something we covered under $7, and we had a very good case on, $36 to $40 on fundamentals, and then this happened.
Yeah.
Okay. I am cutting us off. I feel like we could go for hours today, but I'm shutting it down. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk a lot next week again.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.